Power is never loud. Power rarely announces itself. The people who truly control a room don't need to raise their voices, flex, or flash status. They command attention through presence, through subtle cues, emotional calibration, and psychological precision. This isn't about manipulation for the sake of ego. It's about understanding human nature so deeply that you can navigate it with intent. In every workplace, relationship, or social circle, power moves shape the hidden structure of influence. The loud ones grab the spotlight, the smart ones quietly pull the strings. This video unpacks the psychology behind those subtle tactics, how to assert control, maintain leverage, and protect your energy, all without ever appearing aggressive. It's the modern Machiavellian mindset, control through awareness, not domination. Think of this not as a guide to deceit, but as an instruction manual for emotional intelligence with teeth. These are the small, invisible moves that shift dynamics, the pauses, the silences, the well-timed withdrawals, the psychological mirroring that makes people feel seen, and the calm that unsettles chaos. When used wisely, these tactics aren't about control, they're about freedom. 1. The power of presence, owning space without saying a word. Power begins with energy. Before you speak, your body has already delivered a message: confidence, insecurity, dominance, or deference. Psychologists call this nonverbal priming. People subconsciously assess your posture, tone, and micro-expressions within seconds. The Machiavellian thinker understands that control starts with perception. You don't need to be the loudest, you need to look unshaken. A powerful presence doesn't mean fake bravado. It's about emotional economy, conserving your words, your expressions, your movements. When you slow down, others unconsciously adjust to your rhythm. This is why truly powerful people never rush. They make the world adjust to their tempo. A pause before speaking signals thoughtfulness and authority. A relaxed stance communicates security. In a group, people naturally align with the calmest energy in the room. To develop this kind of presence, you have to master self-regulation. That means training your nervous system to stay stable under pressure. Deep breathing, grounded posture, and controlled eye contact. When someone tries to provoke you and you stay composed, you instantly flip the power dynamic. Control of self equals control of situation. Presence is the first and most underrated power move, because it's invisible but undeniable. 2. The power of silence. The most strategic word you'll never say. Silence is psychological weaponry in disguise. Most people rush to fill gaps in conversation. It's a nervous reflex. The Machiavellian strategist uses silence as leverage. When you say nothing, others project, reveal, or over-explain. They interpret your stillness as confidence, mystery, or judgment, and in that interpretation, they give away more than they realize. Psychologically, silence creates cognitive tension. Humans hate uncertainty. When you stay quiet after someone says something bold, your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their own anxiety. They start filling the air with explanations, rationalizations, and sometimes even admissions. Skilled negotiators know this well. After you make your offer, shut up. The first person to speak usually loses ground. But silence isn't about being cold or distant. It's about strategic restraint. When paired with attentiveness, steady eye contact, slight nods, relaxed posture, silence signals confidence and depth. It makes your words matter when you finally do speak. Machiavelli wrote that power belongs to those who can wait. Silence, in essence, is patience turned into dominance. 3. Emotional calibration, reading the room like a psychologist. If power is about leverage, then emotional intelligence is the key to finding it. Emotional calibration is the art of sensing where people's emotions are, not where they appear to be. It's the ability to detect subtle shifts, tension in tone, flickers in expression, changes in breathing. The Machiavellian strategist studies these cues not to exploit people, but to understand the true map of influence beneath surface behavior. When you can read people at that depth, you gain a social X-ray vision. You see who's trying too hard, who's insecure, who's pretending to lead but needs validation. You can predict reactions before they happen, and that's real control. The power move here isn't confrontation, it's anticipation. It's knowing how to adjust your delivery, your timing, or your tone to steer the emotional current without ever seeming forceful. To master emotional calibration, you must detach your ego. You can't read the room if you're too busy trying to impress it. Observe without judgment, listen for what isn't being said, and notice how people's energy shifts when certain topics arise. The Machiavellian method isn't about tricking others, it's about seeing reality clearly and moving through it with precision. 4. The power of restraint, winning by holding back. Power isn't just what you do, it's what you don't do. Restraint is the discipline of choosing silence over reaction, patience over impulse, and strategy over emotion. Most people reveal their intentions too early. They rant, explain, defend, or seek validation, giving others a map of their weaknesses. The Machiavellian strategist withholds. They understand that mystery breeds leverage. When people can't predict your next move, they can't control you. Restraint in conflict is especially potent. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't react, you starve them of emotional fuel. Your composure forces them into overexposure. They become the one who looks unstable, defensive, or desperate. In negotiation, relationships, or leadership, the one who needs less always holds the power. That's restraint in action, staying calm while others burn energy revealing themselves. Practicing restraint doesn't mean suppressing emotion, it means channeling it. You feel the anger, but you wait to act until your action has maximum effect. You feel the urge to explain, but you let your silence create curiosity instead. Restraint turns emotion into calculation, and calculation into control. The quiet strategist wins not by force, but by making every move count. 5. Strategic detachment, how to care less but smarter. The strongest players aren't heartless, they're strategically detached. They know how to care without becoming controlled by caring. Emotional overinvestment is the biggest leak in power. When you need approval, attention, or outcomes too much, you hand control to whoever can grant or deny them. The Machiavellian method is about maintaining emotional distance while still appearing engaged. You stay invested in the game, but never enslaved to it. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. When you stop reacting emotionally to every situation, you see it for what it is, not what your ego wants it to be. You stop chasing validation and start evaluating reality. In that state, you make better decisions, negotiate better terms, and walk away from situations that drain your value. People sense that strength. It unsettles those who try to manipulate you, because nothing works better than indifference that's rooted in confidence. To practice strategic detachment, train yourself to pause before emotional decisions. Ask, am I reacting or responding? The goal isn't to kill your emotions, but to master their timing. You can care deeply, but you decide when and how to show it. That choice, the ability to separate thought from impulse, is the quietest form of dominance there is. 6. Social mirroring, becoming the reflection they can't resist. One of the most psychologically advanced power moves is social mirroring, subtly reflecting another person's tone, pace, or emotion to make them feel understood and aligned with you. It's not mimicry, it's empathy turned into influence. When people feel seen, their defenses drop. They become more open to your ideas, more eager to maintain connection. The Machiavellian strategist uses this not for manipulation, but for precision, to sync with others' emotional frequency and guide it. Mirroring works because of how the human brain is wired. Our mirror neurons activate when we observe others' behavior, creating subconscious rapport. When someone mirrors us, we feel familiarity and trust, even if we can't explain why. The key is subtlety, too obvious, and it feels fake, too flat, and it loses effect. A skilled communicator mirrors tone, posture, even breathing, enough to build connection, never enough to seem rehearsed. In practice, this tactic can shift power dynamics quietly. By mirroring someone in a tense discussion, you lower their resistance and make them feel emotionally safe. They relax, you lead. Over time, consistent mirroring allows you to calibrate influence without ever raising your voice. It's not about pretending, it's about attunement. The real Machiavellian knows influence is less about domination and more about direction. 7. Perception management, controlling the narrative without saying a word. Reality is what people think it is. Power doesn't always come from truth, it comes from perception, and whoever shapes that perception controls the game. The Machiavellian strategist doesn't waste energy arguing facts, they manage impressions. They understand that perception operates like currency, fragile, manipulable, and highly valuable. When you control what others see and believe about you, you don't have to fight for position. It's granted. Perception management begins with consistency. People trust patterns more than promises. When your behavior, tone, and presence stay steady under pressure, you project reliability and control. That makes others subconsciously assign you authority. Even minor cues, the way you handle interruptions, how you recover from mistakes, shape how people define your status. You can't control every opinion, but you can control the frame in which opinions form. To master this, think in narratives, not reactions. Don't ask how do I win this argument, ask how do I want to be remembered after it. Power is long-term reputation management. Every encounter either adds to or subtracts from that story. The Machiavellian doesn't seek to prove, they seek to position. Control perception, and people will do half the work of maintaining your power for you. 8. Energy economics, mastering the invisible currency of power. Power isn't just psychological, it's energetic. Every interaction either costs or earns you energy. The most effective strategists understand this and operate like emotional investors. They know where to spend focus and where to withdraw. Energy economics is the art of managing your attention, emotional reactions, and time as scarce resources. Most people lose power not because they're weak, but because they're drained. Emotional energy leaks happen when you argue with fools, chase validation, or try to control what's beyond you. Every ounce of wasted reaction feeds someone else's influence. The Machiavellian approach is minimalist: conserve, observe, then act with precision. When you stop reacting to every emotional demand, you become unpredictable. That unpredictability forces others to adapt to your rhythm, not the other way around. Recharging energy is equally strategic. Stillness, solitude, and selective engagement aren't signs of detachment, they're recalibration. Power is sustained by balance. You can't dominate quietly if you're constantly depleted. The wise player understands that energy, not ego, is the foundation of endurance. The more you protect your inner state, the less anyone can manipulate it. 9. Social leverage, using human nature to your advantage. At its core, Power is relational. You can't dominate in a vacuum. You must understand the levers that move people. Social leverage is the Machiavellian ability to identify what drives others, their desires, fears, insecurities, and ambitions, and use those forces to align them with your goals. This isn't cruelty, it's realism. Every human runs on invisible motives. The strategist who sees them first controls the outcome. Leverage doesn't always mean manipulation. Often it's about alignment. You discover what someone truly values and frame your request in that language. You make others feel like helping you benefits them. Power thrives on reciprocity. People will move mountains if it protects their self-image or satisfies their ego. The Machiavellian doesn't fight resistance head-on. They redirect it. The secret to social leverage is empathy with distance. You must understand people deeply enough to predict them, but stay detached enough to never depend on their approval. That balance, compassion without vulnerability, allows you to move through social hierarchies smoothly. Influence becomes less about pressure and more about gravity. People naturally orbit those who understand them better than they understand themselves. 10. Invisible authority. Leading without control. The strongest leaders rarely announce their authority. They lead through presence, not pressure. Invisible authority is the art of influence that feels effortless, where people follow your direction not because they have to, but because they want to. It's built on consistency, emotional control, and quiet confidence. The Machiavellian strategist knows that when power feels natural, it's rarely challenged. Invisible authority comes from mastering soft dominance, guiding rather than commanding. You plant ideas that people believe are their own. You steer conversations by asking calibrated questions instead of giving orders. You model composure when others lose theirs. Over time, that calm steadiness earns more respect than any display of force. People crave security, and authority built on stability gives them that. To build this kind of power, remove ego from leadership. Let your results and restraint speak for you. When people feel you don't need their validation, they start seeking yours. Invisible authority thrives in scarcity. The less you demand recognition, the more it's freely offered. This is the final evolution of power, when influence no longer needs performance. 11. Psychological judo, redirecting force instead of fighting it. Conflict is inevitable, but confrontation is optional. Psychological judo is the art of using others' emotional force against them. Instead of pushing back, you redirect. When someone attacks, you absorb, pivot, and let their energy collapse under its own weight. It's not submission, it's strategy. As in real judo, your power lies in non-resistance. Imagine someone trying to provoke you publicly. The natural reaction is defense, but that only fuels their attack. The Machiavellian move is stillness. Acknowledge their words calmly, or even with faint amusement. Your composure robs them of the emotional payoff they crave. The audience sees your control and their volatility. Without lifting a metaphorical finger, you flipped the hierarchy. Psychological judo works because it reframes energy. Every emotional outburst is an offer, and you choose whether to accept. By staying grounded, you expose how little power others actually hold when you stop feeding their emotions. The quieter your reaction, the louder their instability becomes. True dominance isn't resistance, it's redirection. 12. The quiet crown, power without noise. The ultimate power move is peace. The quiet crown belongs to those who've transcended the need to prove anything. By this stage, strategy isn't about manipulation, it's about mastery. You've learned to read energy, control perception, calibrate emotion, and move people gently without losing yourself. That's not deceit, that's evolution. The Machiavellian method, stripped of cynicism, is simply awareness turned into power. The quiet crown means walking through life with emotional sovereignty. You don't chase approval, react to chaos, or explain your worth. You choose your battles, conserve your energy, and let outcomes speak louder than arguments. Every silence, every pause, every well-timed withdrawal becomes an assertion of control. You stop fighting for attention, because attention naturally finds the centered mind. When people think of power, they imagine dominance. But the truth is, the highest form of dominance is calm. The loud crave validation, the quiet already have it. The Machiavellian path, when mastered, isn't about ruling others. It's about mastering the self so deeply that no one else can. Conclusion: the mastery of subtle power. Power doesn't belong to the loud, the ruthless, or the visibly ambitious. It belongs to those who understand human nature and move through it with precision. The Machiavelli method isn't about deceit. It's about control through clarity, knowing when to speak, when to wait, when to withdraw, and when to act. Every subtle move you make redefines the field around you. The psychology of power moves is ultimately the psychology of restraint. It's about trading noise for nuance, ego for awareness, impulse for timing. Those who master this craft can command any room without raising their voice, influence any mind without direct persuasion, and protect their peace while maintaining their dominance. So remember, true power doesn't shout, it whispers. It moves in silence, shapes perception, and lets outcomes reveal the truth. That's the Machiavellian way, not of cruelty, but of calculated calm. The world belongs to those who know how to act without needing to be seen doing it.